Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Catch Up Podcast. It is Wednesday, May 27, 2020, in the year of our Lord AD. As always, my name is Carson Gibbons, and I'm just screwing this whole thing up. And as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. B-Rat Colvin.
That'd be me.
All right, you gonna rescue this intro for me?
Yeah, man, we got a huge show for you guys, a lot of topics, and you're not going to be disappointed.
Should we re-record this right now?
Yeah.
Should we ditch this? Or
I don't know, man. It could be fun.
let's go. F it. We'll do it live. All right. Well, we got a lot to get into. So, you ready?
Let's get it.
It's the weekly catch up with Carson and Brad. Here to talk about the week we done had. It could be sports, religion, politics, we keeping the tabs. You would think they work for Gucci, how they deep in they bag. Get your facts up. On Wednesday we'll be counting the stats up. So turn the volume up till it's maxed up. You know the drill. So tell a friend to relax up and chill. We back up. This is the weekly catch up.
All right, guys. So like I said, we have a huge show for you. You know, I came in, I asked Carson if he had any show notes, and he said,
Whoa, way to just sell me down the river.
So,
first moment. I got
so
some
yeah,
topics.
yeah, I mean, it
they're
was-
just not with me.
yeah, it was kind of a week. A lot's happened.
Yeah. I think
a few unfortunate things.
we're so fatigued to the new news cycle and the new normal that
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, what other apocalyptic things happened this last week? Really wild stuff. Did you see the party in the Ozarks, the pool party in the Ozarks?
Yeah.
That thing looked lit.
It was crazy.
Shout out. I would have
Shout
loved
out.
to have been there. I love the way they kept referring to it as the Ozarks. I'm like, where
Yeah.
precisely?
Well, I think they feel comfortable doing that because of the popular show Ozark featuring Jason Bateman.
You mean the way the news media has dubbed it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
because that's become such a popular show, they assume that more people are familiar with the area.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in agreement. It seems to be a growing theme, but just the fact that they'd gone to like Arkansas, Missouri, I guess it's Missouri. The fact that they were in Missouri and just like calling out red state people for being at the lake,
Yeah.
it was like, what did you expect? Like,
Yep.
plus everywhere is pretty much opening up. Like I keep hearing about pockets in California that are continuing to open up. I saw that portions of DC are opening this weekend.
Yep.
We've been back to the bar for a week or two already, and they're going to continue to increase that.
Nice.
I don't think I've actually been to a bar yet, but I've been to several restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah, I had had told you I was going to Arkansas to visit my grandpa.
You were touching the Ozarks this weekend.
It's like the Ozark National Park. I don't know if that's like the same. I don't know if that counts.
No, I mean, but you're a border state. Like it gets in
Because
Arkansas.
I wanted to make
hilly.
I wanted to make like an Ozark Jason Bateman caption on my Instapic,
Ooh.
but I felt like I wasn't being genuine. Like I wasn't really in
Question
the Ozarks.
for you.
Hit me.
How long did you spend captioning that photo that you inevitably didn't use? How long was the total post?
How long was like how long did I consider the caption?
Yes. How long did you post?
Okay, so I was on my walk. I was like, we're in the Ozark National Park. I was like, Jason Bateman. And I was probably trying to come up with like something catchy because I knew I was going to be posting a picture, right? So like I'm thinking for like a good hard 20 minutes, and then I want to make sure that like I'm in the right spot. Like I didn't want it to be like an offshoot of the Ozarks, and that's kind of how I felt it ended up being. So I was like, I'll save the caption for another time. So I'm just gonna put "Adventure is out there." It's a good quote from the movie Up, my favorite Pixar movie. And
did I see this photo?
You might have liked it. I don't know.
Will you show it to me?
Yeah, I mean,
will you jog my memory real quick? What
you should have your
post this?
notifications on for my post. By the way, I'm kind of offended.
You mean where
Yeah.
do I literally get a
I don't know.
notification pop up?
Oh, that's that.
Did not see that.
Oh,
Was this on Saturday?
this was 5 days ago. So whatever day that
Saturday.
was. Okay.
That's why, yeah.
Um,
I was Well, I worked some Saturday morning and Saturday midday, but I went to a pool party on Saturday myself.
Oh, nice.
Here in Dallas at Kat and Erica's. Shout out Kat for hosting us. She threw a nice little bash, bunch of food, grilling out, bunch of pool floaties. I got my shoulders burned. Shook my first 3 hands, dude. Like, I kept apologizing, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that." And then we were all like, "That was the first hand I've shaken in months. Like, that was crazy."
Yeah.
And then it kind of was saddening in some ways because compared to other parties of the past that have been, more lit. I mean, we were younger, but it was kind of like, well, is this because of our age and how we would normally be, or is this staggered performance due to COVID? And like,
don't blame COVID, you old birds.
Well, I feel like head count suffered due to COVID. There are definitely people that are still taking more precautions, but all that aside, I want to get back to the Ozarks. So you ended up going up there on, was it Wednesday, Thursday?
So we left on Wednesday, I believe, and came back Sunday. So I'll start you off at the top of the trip. We got a nice Airbnb right on the lake. It was really cool.
Which lake?
I don't.
Where in Arkansas were you?
Hot Springs.
Okay.
So whenever I say lake, I probably actually mean like not a lake, like a
body of water.
Sure.
That place is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
How fun.
Yeah, and then we actually got to meet up with my grandpa. Originally, my parents were going to go too, but because of COVID and my grandpa, he had a procedure done the day before we got there, and just because of that, we didn't want to overwhelm him and like stay at his house for several days. Just wanted to be cautious of his health and everything, but we did meet up with him. We chilled downstairs in the basement. We went through the garage and just chilled in the basement with him, and he got to meet Courtney and chatted for about 2.5 hours. And
oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that was like really special to me, in that she got to meet him. So he's my step grandpa, but he's the last grandpa that I have living.
Oh wow.
And so it was just a special thing for me, and I think he seemed to enjoy our company as well. So, and Courtney just like loved. We walked out of the house, and she's like, "I love that man. He's precious."
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so it was actually like really cool.
You were kind of concerned that you may not get to see him because of the procedure and COVID and all of this stuff.
Yeah, but he was willing. I think we were being more cautious than he was. But we're just trying to be respectful of that. But he's living up in Hot Springs by himself, and we're living here, and he has other family in like Pennsylvania, and but he's really the only one there. So I know that he enjoyed the company. So that was.
And he lives alone as well?
Yeah, his wife, my grandma, passed away maybe in like I don't know, sometime while I was in college.
Dude, that kills me.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are we getting married if I can still be alive without you at that advanced age? Like watching.
Oh yeah, and
my granddaddy
they were like high school sweethearts. Like they were So
my granddaddy and grandmommy lasted 50, 60 years plus, and he spent the last 4 without her, which is heartbreaking.
Yeah, and
yours spent even longer. It sounded like.
Right. So yeah, I mean that was tough, but overall it was a great trip, and I'm glad that we got to spend time with him. And then the following day we went to that national park that I'm telling you about, and I don't want to be dramatic, but I feel like I sustained some injuries that could have ended up worse.
What'd you do?
Well, we were hiking around this. It was just a mile-long trail.
Is this?
This is Saturday.
This is still Saturday?
The day we saw him on Friday.
Oh, okay. Because you left midweek. Okay.
Right.
Keep going.
And so, we're checking out all these caves that they have at this national park, and I'm like climbing all over the place, having fun. And then we come across this waterfall, and I'm like, it'd be pretty cool to get a picture on top of the waterfall.
Wow.
So I go, and like there's this long branch that's like leaning up against the side of the waterfall, and I'm like, people have used this before to climb up there, and I'm trying, and this long branch is like wobbling like crazy, and so I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. And then Courtney's like, well, why don't you just go further up and then cross over? And so I'm like, okay, bet. And so I start climbing, and it's like completely dry, right? And I have my grip, and then I move my foot to the right, and I just completely slip, and I fall, and there is nothing to grab onto. Luckily, I land like in the mud, so it's not just like this hard impact. It kind of cushions my fall, but I completely land on my ankle, so that swells up. This is kind of healed up. You can see the mark on my hands from where I was trying to grab onto the rocks. I know it doesn't look that bad, but I was really like limping like crazy, and it hurt pretty bad. But I'm just thankful that there was nothing like down below that could have like impaled
jagged
me or
rocks
anything,
that
so it could have ended a lot worse. I did feel like I calculated as I was going up, like trying to assess the amount of risk that I was taking, and luckily I assessed correctly because I didn't make it to the top of the waterfall. So I had to sit down at the base, and I got pictures down there.
All right, I have a couple things to say to you.
Oh no!
First of all, you know what they say, right?
Yeah.
They say
No.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Oh, TLC. I should have.
Second of all,
dang.
Going hiking with you sounds like going hiking with like an adolescent Logan Paul. Like,
no, come on.
Would this caption for Netflix work? Where can I get a picture? At the base? At the tip? Let's do it at the base.
How dare you?
I'm just saying.
You're pandering to the audience. I know, Gerald, you're going to be laughing at this when you hear this. Alec,
like,
that's not true, all right?
I'm just saying, you've talked about captioning and multiple Instagram posts and busting your ass going over a waterfall trying to get Graham-worthy content.
No, I wasn't.
Logan Paul Jr. Like, what are you doing?
I'm not going to a forest where people commit suicide and taking video of it.
Man, we went to this beautiful forest and hot springs, and like it was a spiritual journey, man. Like just to connect with nature and be away from technology.
It was so beautiful.
No, you were like, hey babe, would you hold the boom over a little bit to the left?
I hate you.
You're like, I'm gonna break 20,000 with this one.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I have no argument, man. Yeah, but whenever I landed, like Courtney, her eyes are like watering because she's scared. Like it was that high of a fall.
How big?
My feet were probably like the ceiling here, and like this was the ground. So like,
it's like
however
at
high
least 12 feet type deal.
Yeah, and like I kind of skidded down the rock that I was climbing, so which helped the fall as well. But anyway. Yeah.
That's a good way to characterize it, that like you didn't end up that hurt, but the fear factor and the uncertainty, like it could have been so much different. You could have died.
The more time that I've had to think about it, because once I landed, I kind of was just laughing, like in disbelief that it happened, and it wasn't until later, like I had already been hurting, but it wasn't until like later that night where I was really considering like how bad it could have been. So really blessed. Big guy upstairs was looking out for me, and I'm glad that I didn't make too much of a fool of myself and all of that. But to end out the trip, we ended up getting massages the next day, and just kind of hanging out, and made it back safely. Just kind of chilled on Memorial Day and did a little bit of work for school. Got my final grades in. Cleaned up my classroom today, and I'm kind of ready to go.
You done, huh?
Yeah, we have a retirement party for my principal tomorrow, and then graduation is on the 7th, and then I am a student beginning on the 8th.
They're like, hand over your ruler. We're about to use it on you. Where's the retirement party?
At the school.
Okay.
Yeah. We got like 40 people showing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That must feel good. Dude, I feel like working in a startup is like being in perpetual law or grad school, where it's like you go to class all day, you go to class 9 to 5, but then you have major homework.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that you have to execute at night, on the weekends. I was comparing notes. The house party that I went to on Saturday made me feel better, actually, because, my management consulting buddies, they haven't been working too terribly hard at all during COVID. Okay. If they've been fortunate enough to retain jobs, retain full pay,
Mm-hmm.
different depending on what type of focus you have. So, some of my more business oriented friends haven't been able to like identify with my plight during COVID of like, pretty extreme work from home, feeling like we're working harder now than we ever have been, and just general startup life. Like funded startup life is like very, very busy when you're standing these things up. And the party was comprised of like, some business owners and a lot of lawyers and like media type. So talking to the lawyers that have like, created their dock stations at home, I was talking to Kat, the homeowner, and she was saying, she made me feel so much better because I said, okay, be real with me. More work, more chaotic since you worked from home, or what's the vibe been? Equal, greater than, or less than? And she goes, oh, extremely greater than. Like, she was like, we all, first of all, are equipped to work from home day one, regardless. So like, they're set up with professional equipment, blah, blah, blah. They've got their docking station. She said that they deployed their 1,600 man law firm in, I guess, some sort of segments or waves, contingent on your role and how critical it was to be at the office. They deployed them all to go home. And she said within like 5 business days, even the most chained to their desk in the office, whoever guards the files type person was fully equipped to work remotely. So they had a real strategy going into that. But she said that she'd actually been working a lot more around the clock, basically 7 days a week. And so that made me feel better that certain professional services, like there was something about working remote where it was like, people thought that you worked less per day, so you should work all days. Or that, there was no point in even thinking about it being a Saturday because you're not going to go anywhere or do anything or see anybody anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as a teacher, we kind of joke about how like midday I was out swimming and different things like that. But I will say the amount of questions that I have to answer like around the clock now, or, up until their finals and everything, was pretty crazy. Just in the fact that like if you had kids that missed the Zoom session because all this, during the COVID like social distancing, a lot of our students apparently like picked up jobs and all of a sudden they couldn't come to class anymore. It's like their parents had them start working.
Where was open?
I don't know. Some of them live on a farm. I remember one kid had to be like, oh, I can't make class, I have to go feed the cows. I was like, I have never heard this excuse.
Jebediah, put your paw on the phone.
Yeah, I didn't hear a moo.
Pa said I had to milk the cows though.
Yeah, so
I can't do calculus this afternoon. I gotta milk the cows.
Yeah, but yeah, and all of a sudden they just had so many more questions and they forgot how to upload stuff, and so I wouldn't say it was like strenuous work, but it was a lot of like little pesky things that occurred all throughout the day. Yeah.
Oh,
good times.
That's rough, man.
Yeah, life.
Teaching kids how to upload. They're like, sorry, I haven't used this feature. I've just been working a hand in the farm.
If you can figure out TikTok and all of that and learn those dances, you can learn how to upload a file.
Their teacher's doing that.
No.
You're in the middle of a lyric video like, don't go chasing waterfalls. Woo!
You're on a roll, man.
Courtney's just crying, and then she goes, that's because of the singing.
No, there was no singing.
Do you think my mic is okay? Yeah, it's just me. Okay. Yeah. I like making those big lines, folks. Wow, there we go.
Hey, hope you're awake.
Hey, we got dude, your daddy sent over a funny one today.
Oh, boy.
Let me dial this ish up. Shout out, Dean.
What is he? What joke does he have for us today?
1 second.
Uh-huh.
I'm pulling up LinkedIn, folks. Brought to you by LinkedIn. And I think K-Bebe again.
Is she our sponsor?
I think she might have sponsored for. I think
you didn't pay me for last week's.
I'll pay you more today because I'm pretty sure she's our third sponsor in a row. Okay, I like this one.
You other listeners are slacking. I'm just saying. All right, joke time.
Today, Dean Colvin, 3:02 p.m. via LinkedIn. Your mama's so dumb it takes her an hour to cook minute rice. That was good.
That is good.
And then he sent me an article about Trump threatening to close down Twitter and other social media to stop them from rigging the 2020 vote.
That was almost a topic that I had in my notes, and then I decided against it.
Right on.
But yeah, he's saying that they're not allowing free speech, and what they really did was kind of quote tweet him and say that, hey, the facts that you're pushing are false. And so really, they were using free speech, and he didn't like it.
Gotcha.
That's all it was.
Okay.
Yeah. He was trying to infringe on their free speech.
I've been super
because they didn't delete his comments or anything like that. They just said, "Hey, these are the actual facts," and he didn't like that so much.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sounds like a big nothing burger.
Yeah.
Not worth my time.
Yeah.
Did you catch the Lance debut?
No, tell me about it.
Whoa, it's worth your time.
Yeah,
it's incredible already.
How many episodes are there going to be?
I don't know. I was telling somebody the other day, like, oh, there's 2 episodes, and then they're like, no, there's only one part 1 at the moment, but it was multiple hours of content. It's already incredible.
Okay,
you got to tune in.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
And they're running the reel. They're running the sizzle reel for all the 30 for 30 sponsored docs that they're debuting this summer that I mentioned in last week's episode. Nice. The epic home run, battle, and Bruce Lee. Several people that I've told about that have been very excited. So
yeah, I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, that's what you'd said. What
are you going to completely shift? Because we do have sports that you probably watched.
Yeah,
as far as golf, right?
We can definitely discuss that.
So I want you to tell me about it because I didn't know. I know who lost.
You talking about the match?
Yeah,
by Capital One.
I'm talking about the duos.
Yeah, so that was really Sunday on NBC. No, yes, big NBC, I believe. No, I'm sorry, know. TNT.
TNT knows drama.
Yeah, they do. So I guess that basically Capital One sponsored another one-on-one match. So a year or 2 ago, Tiger and Phil went head-to-head in Las Vegas, match play, one-on-one, winner takes all of a $9 million purse. And Phil won. And so this year, they decided to do it for charity, sponsored by Capital One. And they were raising money for COVID relief in general. They had a couple breakout charities and different avenues that they were going to filter that money to. But they teamed up with a couple, Hall of Fame or future Hall of Fame professional quarterbacks in Peyton Manning and Tom Brady to be their celebrity quarterback partners.
Wow.
And so they did this tournament in Medalist Country Club, Florida, over by Palm Beach. It's south of Palm Beach. So what it was I think it was best ball scramble, the first 9 holes. So whoever on your team scored lower, they took that score,
right.
Match play. And then they, starting on hole 10, they started to do like weird things. Like it was either on hole 9 or 10, something like that you had to use the same club for every shot, including your putt.
Oh.
So you had to be strategic about how you were going to play the hole because there's a big difference between a 6 iron and a 9 iron. So they played that one, then they played alternate shot where they would take the better shot, and then the person who didn't shoot that ball had to shoot the approach shot. So it was Tiger and Peyton Manning versus Phil and Tom Brady. And they'd had a Zoom call that they debuted that I've watched several times actually with various people where it's basically like the 4 of them getting interviewed by the head honcho at TNT Sports. And they're just, trash talking Phil is showing, he's like, this trophy, he's in front of all of his trophies. Like there's just a billion trophies in the room. And they're like, okay, you posing there a little bit? And he points to the one that's like in the foreground right next to him, next to the camera. And he goes, yeah, this is the Tiger. I don't know if you saw this one because this is the one that I won the last time that we did this. So this is what it would have looked like were you to have won.
That's good.
And so Tiger was like, I'm sorry, what? What's that? I can't hear. I just got out of an ice bath. And he takes the Masters green jacket, which he's currently in possession of, and he puts it over himself. And all the guys start laughing. And there's just a bunch of smack talking, really epic lead up to this. And then it just poured rain all day Sunday.
Mm.
It was just miserable. Like I saw a PGA memes account where it was like 2020 and the only thing that you have hope for is like the match by Capital One, and then it just was a screenshot of the weather.
Dang.
And it was like 2020 and God's plans for your year. So anyway, it looked uncomfortable, especially the first 10 holes. It was pouring on them.
Yeah.
But nothing real crazy until Tom Brady he was not doing well. It could have been me out there. Like, he was not having a great day. Dang. The nerves had cropped up. It was pouring rain. He's just shanking it off the tee. Oh. He's having to hit provisionals. They're not finding his drives. Like, it's not going well.
So because they played best ball the first few holes. And I'm sure that they never used his.
No, they couldn't find his. Like, and he was with Phil. And Phil is not much better sometimes in terms of finding the fairway. That's like kind of a well-known joke about him. But so the funny thing was that Peyton was lights out. Peyton was nailing birdie putts. He was hitting like every green in regulation. He was pretty much neck and neck with Tiger from like an approach shot perspective.
Yeah.
Not quite. Tiger was lights out. But the best part of the broadcast was that one of the commentators that they had there, in addition to Trevor Immelman and some of the TNT guys, was Charles Barkley.
Really?
Who notoriously has the most broken, wrong, like mentally challenged swing you've ever seen. And it's a famous joke between him and Michael Jordan as well. That Michael claims that Charles used to be able to play pretty well, but that he'd gone to a lesson or something had happened and he got
completely changed.
He got this hitch in his giddy up, so to speak. And like, he cannot, if you've ever seen him like on YouTube or something, just go type in Charles Barkley golf swing and like, there's reels. He's a meme himself for it. So he was commentating for whatever reason. And it was so funny because Brady was doing so poorly through the first 7-8 holes that Charles is smack talking him because the golfers are wired in to where they can hear the broadcast and comment. And their golf carts, which are all custom, have Cisco WebEx cameras on them that they're communicating with. So like Tiger hits a shot, he gets in his golf cart, and you see the view of him, like the POV view of like him right there in the golf cart. And they'll go, Tiger, what were you thinking about that shot? And he'll go, yeah, I was just thinking. And it's all interactive.
That's cool.
Really dope. So Charles is smack talking like Tom as he's getting set up for his shot. He's like, I got you, Tom. He's like, I'm going to give you shots, Tom. Like, I'll give you strokes, baby. I want a piece of you.
Oh, wow.
Like which is a big diss coming from Barkley.
Yeah.
It's not his game anymore. And if ever. And so, Tom lines up for the shot. It's like an 150-yard shot into the green. And he just nails it. He hits a big divot, ball goes way up in the air. It takes 2 hops on the green right around the flagstick, picks up a little gnarly backspin, and backspins itself into the hole. And he holes out from like 150 yards plus. And everybody on the course is like, what? They're all screaming.
That's
like
crazy.
Phil just goes, you made it. You made it. And so Brady doesn't even react. He just presses his earpiece in and he goes, hey, Chuck, hey, shut your mouth, Chuck. Because Chuck was smack talking him as he was getting set up for that shot. He holes out. It was definitely the highlight shot of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's cool.
He ended up making a clutch putt down the stretch. They lost by 1 hole.
Oh, okay.
It was getting dark. It was raining all day.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a great situation. They had like fun actors come in, like Samuel L. Jackson introduced all of them.
Oh, nice.
And as they're getting set up for their first shot on the first tee, they're listening to Samuel L. Jackson
like commentate,
introduce them in a roasting type manner. So they're laughing. Like, it was a really interesting broadcast experience. They raised over $20 million for COVID relief.
Nice.
They're going to support food pantries, research, recovery, relief, all this different stuff. So it was a nice little thing.
That's cool.
So that floated me Sunday and Monday. I just, Memorial Day, I ended up doing like a bunch of chores basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just scrubbed the place, did my laundry, did some work.
Legit.
Went up, had dinner with my parents. They were going to bring down they brought me a new sofa.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going to do that Memorial Day, but we ended up getting rained out because it just poured Sunday and Monday here.
Yeah.
So kind of a downer.
Yeah.
Got to play golf Friday evening and then go to the pool party on Saturday, which was a lot of fun. Got to see, some friends.
Mm-hmm.
We were out there from probably 1 to 7 type deal.
Okay.
So I was burned. I was ready for my bed after that. Yeah. Other than that, a lot of work. I got attacked by a bird.
We should have led with that. What?
Yo.
Start from the beginning.
This is an emotional story for me because
What?
I got really scared.
Your eyes are glossy right now.
Yeah, because I'm like, how did this bird...
We both just had near-death experiences.
Well, and for a brief moment, I was like, I'm not in the food chain. Like, why can't I walk down the street right now? I was indignant. I was like, I'm a human.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, I got attacked by a bird this week, and it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
It scared me half to death. All right, so I'm walking down the street. It's like, I think it was my work from home day.
Okay.
It was like right before a conference call or maybe midday going to get a granola bar, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm walking down the street in my neighborhood and I have my AirPods in, so I'm kind of oblivious, but they're not really, their planes have been really low or not at all at the moment. And so my peripheral is kind of compromised. So this bird flies right past me, like elbow level, right? Like it barely missed.
Do you have food or anything on you?
No,
Okay.
no, nothing. That's what I kept wondering. I'm like, am I made of bird seed all of a sudden? What's going on?
Yeah.
So this bird flies right past me and it scared me. I was like, what the,
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't happen.
Right.
So I see the bird, it goes to the top of a stop sign and it perches there and it looks at me and I like make eye contact with this bird and I get a little speed in my step and I go down the street. The next thing I know, the bird rammed me.
Whoa.
The bird in mid-flight, beak first, hit my arm and back solidly. Okay? It took off from the top of the stop sign. I had turned my back, was speeding down the street.
Nosedive.
And it nosedive bombed me and it hit me and I felt it flutter and my nipples immediately just shriveled up into nothing. My manhood was somewhere underneath my diaphragm. Like I'm like, what? I'm like violated. I'm freaked out. Because a bird shouldn't be scary, but it's like it moves around weird. It twitches. Yeah. It's got those feathers, and it's like it's not supposed to touch me. It freaks me out. Right. So this thing flew right past me, taunting me, and then it nosedive bombs me, and then it goes to the top of the next stop sign and sits there waiting for me. So I turn around and I ran back to the house. I was like, what is going on? Like,
oh man, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Dude, it freaked me out. Like, so I'm telling my parents this story yesterday. My dad goes, was it a mockingbird? And I go, it was. How did you know? And he's like, because they're mean birds. Like, and it just triggered, I have some PTSD because my mother and I were attacked by a goose when I was a young child.
This isn't your first run-in with our feathered friends, huh?
No, like I don't know.
Wow.
We got attacked at the park in Keene by some geese.
Oh, those geese are vicious.
I think one of us got bit or something. Like it was traumatic there for a moment. This was like one of my earliest memories.
Yeah.
And it's not even like a memory. I feel like it's something I've fabricated with the stories that I've been told.
Yeah, as time's gone on.
We were attacked by geese and then this mockingbird incident. But dude, this guy, I didn't know. I was racking my brain, like, why is this happening? Like,
what kind of cologne you been wearing?
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was like, I always smell like a god, You need to understand that. Just waking up, Tommy Hilfiger,
right.
head to toe. What I like to do is I like to do a layer of shampoo everywhere.
I know you do.
And then I like to do. Don't act like that's weird.
I remember your rituals.
How do you remember this?
We went to college together. We've hung out outside after graduate. Like I've seen you get ready to go out.
Then I do.
I got you a bottle. I got you a bottle of Chanel, and it was gone in a week.
Oh man, thanks, man. That's a really nice gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been heavy on the cologne, but then I like to get out a little bit of lotion, lock it in.
Right.
Well, I do a round of spray and then lotion and then spray again.
Yeah, you
got to
layer it.
Spray a couple more times with every layer.
Yeah.
And then over the hair and everywhere else.
Right.
But I don't know. It was a work from home day that day, so I would have only had 2 sprays. On days that I don't see anybody, it's just 2 sprays, just for me.
Yeah.
Which seems wasteful, but
that's funny.
Yeah, it really spooked me, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it.
I don't know either, man.
I checked my clothing.
I'm glad
like,
you're still here with us.
I'm like, did I sit in some like peanut butter and bird seed or something delicious? Like, what? Yeah. Why would it hit me?
This episode is brought to you by Angry Birds.
Oh my goodness. It's about to be brought to you by Carson with a slingshot. I'll take my Glock out there and just blow that guy out of the air. I did not appreciate that. And I literally walked speedily away with my head looking over my shoulder to make sure that it didn't take off from the stop sign, the top of the stop sign again. Because it scared me that bad. It watched me back into my own place. I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
And a mockingbird backed me into a corner.
Yeah.
So
that's how.
So that was my week. And that's your weekly catch up, tots.
Thinking of a caption now. Speaking of flight, SpaceX and NASA were supposed to have a historic launch today, but that has been canceled due to the weather, and they have postponed it until May 30th. Okay. So they were supposed to fly out aboard the Crew Dragon. You got to love Elon Musk and all the names that he chooses for everything.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty respectful given Elon.
Yeah. And so it was actually, they were supposed to, launch, and it was canceled 17 minutes before they were supposed to take flight today. So it'll be happening on Saturday, May 30th. The flight marks the first ever manned space launch by a private company and was the first crewed NASA launch from the U.S. since 2011.
Yeah, 2011 was when it went boom, right? No, that was before.
That was earlier.
I was outside and heard that.
Yeah.
When that one went boom.
I have vague memories of that as well.
It was on a Sabbath morning.
The Challenger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild stuff. That's so cool. Elon is the one to do it.
Yeah.
Elon will lead the way.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I think Michael hit me up today and he's like, "You gonna watch?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in meetings all afternoon." And then I saw it got canceled and I was like, perfect.
Yeah. What's on your sheet?
Oh, that was your talking point.
I mean, no, that's all I have on that.
My talking sheet literally was like, pool party Saturday, attacked by a bird.
Man, I'm glad we pulled that cologne story out. More content.
My coworkers in Baltimore. When I worked in Baltimore, I worked for Baltimore Sun Media Group in this beautiful, like, landmark historical building in downtown on Calvert Street, and it took up an entire city block.
Yeah.
The first day I ever walked in, Buck Showalter held the door for me because he was the manager of the Orioles at the time. I think I've told that story, but anyway, I went outside for a little while and I came back in, and there was a series of Post-it notes covering my cologne bottle that had all been written on saying, "Stop spraying me," which I thought was rude.
No, that's great.
I like to bathe in it. I come from a long lineage of men that have no body hair and a lot of cologne and a full head of hair till the day they die.
Got some good genes.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my eyes are just falling out from my sockets. Like, I need... Tot, send me recommendations for like white guy under eye cream or drops that I can easily get, because I'm just one of those people that
they
I'm
get
gonna
the
need a
dark
facelift.
circles.
Yeah, man. Like I look terrible.
Yeah, I'd be down for some eye cream if y'all have any suggestions.
I feel like for so much of my life, I was like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to look old, to look older.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm like 30, I'll be 31 this year.
Yeah.
And I look old. I'm like, I want to be youthful.
Yeah, let's
like,
take it back.
Fewer sunburns.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm excited for the day that I get a grayish or a whitish beard. But I definitely I don't need it right now.
Are your head grays coming in?
Yeah.
Mine are
and I have
I
have like a gray or white hair that pops up in my beard every once in a while.
So let's talk about like COVID releases from prison, because Tekashi 6ix9ine got out.
Oh yeah.
But I also saw that Michael Cohen, Trump's
Yes.
personal lawyer, got out.
Yeah.
Which seems way early. I thought he was sentenced like 4 years or something.
Yeah.
And he could have only served like, what? Will you look that up actually? How much time he actually ended up serving?
Yeah, I got you.
It was funny. He was coming home from jail in like a baseball cap and a mask. Everybody looks like a villain right now with their mask on. Although I walked up to Chipotle the other night with mine on, and this girl right in front of me kind of looked at me like I was crazy, and she didn't have one on, and she just walked right in.
Yeah.
So I think all the restrictions have been lifted.
He was projected to be released in November 2021, so a little over a year early.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Yes. So he'd been serving his sentence for campaign finance violations and other crimes back in 2018. And he was in the minimum security camp next to a medium security federal prison. So that boy's out of there.
Hey, who goes to arrest people?
Who?
No, I'm asking you. Who goes to arrest people? What profession?
The cop. Oh, caps.
Cops?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a cop?
I'm not a cap.
I'm going to weave it into every podcast moving forward.
Dude, speaking of cops, racist cops be racist copping again. Police officer kills
Minneapolis?
George Floyd, an unarmed man, and this cop is kneeling, pressing on his throat, and the guy is saying, like, I can't breathe, please get off, and the cop does not, and he sustains injuries and passes. And there's been riots going on with unarmed people, and they received tear gas. Meanwhile, a week ago, a bunch of white folk with AKs were out there screaming in police officers' faces just because they couldn't go inside a store, and nothing happens to them. So I'm not the spokesperson on all the racism that's going on in this world, and I'm not going to be the one that's going to be able to catch it all, but it's just another tragic instance. And I know that I spent a lot of time last episode, or maybe the episode before, speaking on that, and unfortunately it's just another copy and paste situation to where the heartfelt speech that I gave, I mean it this week as well, and I'm going to mean it next week whenever something new happens. It's so unfortunate.
Now, I don't outright disagree with your overall sentiment here, but I actually think that the Ahmaud Arbery situation and this situation are very different in the nature of how they happen. Like, I view the Georgia man, the Ahmaud Arbery case, I view that as like real straight up vigilante, racist glasses at least, and cold-blooded murder. Like, that's what I view that as.
Right.
With this one, first of all, the photographer or videographer that captured the photo of that brief moment where, like, it almost looks like his eyes are bugging out and like he's asphyxiating or something. That is such a powerful image that hopefully will change some procedures, because I want to talk about this. Okay. I'm not saying that this wasn't racist motivated, or if he'd been white, it would have been different. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not arguing in favor of the cops here at all.
Right.
What I am saying is that I've seen a lot of live PD and different footage of cops arresting all races, colors, and creeds, and sexes, men and women. And
with the same tactic?
It is I never like it either.
Right.
Whenever I see inevitably, the fourth officer rushes in and always feels the need to place a knee over the very top of the back and or the neck or the head. They'll just they'll pin your face to the cement.
Yeah.
They will. It's the last barrier that they have to securing you, and they always use that. And it makes me think that placement is standard police containment procedure. Where the placement of the knee is to be, I don't know. However, I've always thought that was like a brutal tactic. And with all the technology out there, like, you ever watch them cuff somebody where it's like, okay, what I want you to do is put your arms over your head. Now interlock your fingers. Now bring your arms down like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, then they have to struggle with the keys. Like, isn't there a better way of immobilizing someone that you need to immobilize?
And again, I'm just going to put emphasis on someone who is not carrying, they are unarmed. Like, it should not, under any circumstances, like, take that much force. And I agree with you, no matter the race, color, creed, man, it's tough because a lot of people, there are two sides to the people that are posting the video that's been circulating on social media and the news. And it's like, some are just trying to put it out there so people are more aware, but at the same time, it's like, I think we're quite aware of like a lot of, black males being killed by police officers. And again, maybe it wasn't a race thing this time around, but either way, I can see both sides of the people saying like, hey, we don't need to see this video. We don't need to see the injuries that are being sustained because we know that this is happening. We don't need more reminders. But I've seen two sides of that argument going on. And again, it's just really unfortunate. I mean, I can go on to some other stuff that has been happening since our last episode as well. But
along the lines of race or?
Yeah.
Well, I would like, I don't know what you're about to bring up.
This is the most serious one. So
I'd like to, again, I don't know that this wasn't 100% racist or in nature, or that I don't know any of that. All I know is that I've watched a lot of arrests.
Yeah.
And that tactic is used in such a surprising amount of, times where officers are trying to restrain somebody, man or woman, and they do that even though there might already be 2 or 3 officers on them. They just callously put their weight on their knee, on the top of their back, their head, or their neck. And I always think about just the slight force that they're applying. It's one of those things where I'm like, is the procedure wrong? Was his placement wrong? Or as anything, you can do something professionally, or you can do something angrily.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could throw a PowerPoint, clicker.
Mm-hmm.
You could set it nicely on your desk, or you could throw it to make a point. Yep. And in his job where he's dealing with human life, it's even bigger repercussions.
Right.
So again, I don't know. I think that procedure should be looked at. It seems like with the types of stuff that we're consuming as a society now and the access to technology, how did they not have a gun that you just press it in the general direction of somebody and it just dispenses like a web that binds their arms behind their back, or like wraps them in cellophane, or something outrageous where it's like, there's got to be an easier way of containment. Or why don't we tranquilize more people?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a solution?
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you rather just get hit by a quick dart than go through the struggle of all that?
Yep. Knock me out for a few instead of, endangering my life. Yeah.
Knock me out until my court date, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is a bigger issue that's
currently No. I said that was the biggest one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I guess we can just slide down the scale here if you want to consider that.
If we have a racist priority ladder of stories.
I guess. That feels very odd saying. But Amy Cooper, calls the cops on Christian Cooper. Christian Cooper is outside. He's not really doing anything. She's there with her dog, and he's recording her. And towards the beginning of his recording, you can hear her say, "Well, I'm going to call the cops on you, and I'm going to say that you're threatening my life." And he said, "Okay, call the cops." And so she's out there calling the cops. She has her dog on the leash, and like the way that she's holding him, because she's on the phone about to try to frame this man, she's like choking the dog, and you can hear it like yelping. And turns out, the cops came, he showed them the video, and they're like, "Oh, like he didn't do anything wrong." But the fact that she was just using like her privilege and calling the cops on him, saying that he was threatening her life, is crazy.
Oh my goodness. People are going to think I'm racist because of all my rebuttals to these stories this week. But I saw this.
Okay.
I saw this story and I was like, oh, like, Karen felt threatened by the black man in the park or something like that. And was racist. I'd seen that she had been fired from her job.
Yeah.
But the thing that I didn't read in any of the stories or research that I had done is the fact that he had been filming her at the outset of the story. What is that about? Okay, you're telling me that even as a
I think he started recording as soon as the altercation began.
Okay.
Yeah.
You made it sound like she like turned around and a black man was
no. He wasn't already
recording.
No. He pulled it up once she started like yelling at him, so that's why it cuts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I was like that. First of all, it sounded kind of stalkerish the way you'd first put it.
No, he had been out in the park. He was bird watching. And I guess
he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you're going to, turn your nose at that because of your history with birds, but some people do enjoy doing that.
I mean, I've been bird watching too, but I don't go to the park to do it.
Yeah. Okay. And she says, "I'm taking a picture and calling the cops. I'm going to tell them she explicitly says, I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life."
And she said African-American?
Yes, in the video.
So,
yeah. So if you want to dispute it, you can, but
no, I almost like this where I don't like look into these stories too much. And then I just hear these like tidbits and it's like, huh, like, what did she do? What was he doing? Like, technically menacing is like an actual form of crime. And I'm not saying that he did that. I'm just saying like there's a portion of the story that we don't know about.
Oh, here you go.
I'm just saying something's missing for me.
I got you. Christian Cooper, who described himself as an avid bird watcher, was out birding between 7:30 a.m. and 8 Monday in the Ramble, a section of Central Park. And that's filled with thick greenery that attracts over 230 bird species. That's when he says he saw a dog off its leash. So this is the dog that I was talking about. It says that's important to us birders because we know that dogs won't be off leash at all, and we can go there to see the ground-dwelling birds. And so Amy Cooper says she was walking her unleashed dog knowing that it was against the rules. He was running in an open field. This man, he was bird watching. He came out of the bush. And so adding, let's see. Oh, and then it says Christian Cooper said the dog was tearing through the plantings. He said he was actually pretty calm. He was just saying, "Hey, you need to get your dog away." And the two went back and forth about the dog leash. He then told her, "Look, if you're going to do what you want, I'm going to do what I want, but you're not going to like it." And I guess she says, "I didn't know what that meant. When you're alone in a wooded area, that's terrifying." So I guess that's, where people can decide whether or not, he was threatening her. Christian Cooper said he then pulled out dog treats. He told CNN he keeps dog treats with him to get dog owners to put their dogs on leashes because in his experience, dog owners hate when a stranger feeds their dog treats and immediately restrain their dog afterwards. Amy Cooper said he was throwing them at her dog. He said he was never throwing them. So the video begins with Amy Cooper pulling her dog by the collar and telling Christian Cooper to stop recording. And he says, "Please don't come close to me." And she continues moving forward closer to him. And then she says, "Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me." He asks her again not to come close, and that's when she says she's going to call the police, and I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. And I've told the rest of the story.
Hmm.
So...
First of all, why are this husband and wife acting like they don't know each other? Why do they have the same last name? That really throws it off. It almost so, and again, I always feel like I have to preface everything I say with like, I know I'm white. I'm not meaning to be insensitive at all. This is not a situation where anybody lost their life like in the former scenario, which is tragic. This almost sounds like a real comedy of errors where it's like this African American gentleman is a true birder. Like he is
sure.
He wants to be out there. She's intentionally breaking the rules. And the thing is, if you're a guy and there's a single woman out in the woods, like you're not trying to win the argument. You're trying to like diffuse the situation. Like, oh, hey, sorry, like go back to like, and you also make yourself smaller as a man if there's a solo woman that could feel threatened by you. Like you shrink your stature, you make yourself more warm. I don't understand why either of these parties, her included, like why is she moving towards him if she feels threatened? Why isn't she putting her dog on a leash and GTFOing?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the argument ends for me whenever she says she's going to call the cops and say that there's an African American man threatening her life. Like, sure, maybe he could have handled the situation differently, but it's comedy up until that point because, a lot of black men feel like they aren't safe around cops. And so if she had called the cops and he didn't have, a recording of her saying that, how would this have ended? Like, would it have ended differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely would have.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen the video at all, so I need to go watch this because was she being descriptive? Like, what if it was an Asian American? It's not like she called him the N-word. I'm saying, was she being descriptive in a moment of, frantic frenzy, or was it racist motivated? Like, so I'm just wondering. Sometimes these situations that get they're a situation between two people, and then a brief 21-second snippet of video is released to a segment of the world, which is the rest of us, all of us, that had no business in that situation. We were not involved, and we're supposed to extrapolate everything from this, plus all the spin that we're hearing. I'm just confused about this whole situation.
Yeah, that's...
Like, did you watch it?
Yeah.
And how does she say it?
There's an African American man.
Was she saying you shouldn't be here, or what? What was leading up to that?
Him trying to get her and her dog out of there.
Was she saying, I'm going to tell them that there's an African American man because she felt like that would be the more compelling, like, oh, shoot, I need to drop this?
I mean, that's what it felt like, but...
Okay. Then that would be the wrong leverage.
Yeah.
That would be the wrong... I mean, that would just be abuse in certain ways, Like,
yeah.
So some of it is like racism. Some of it is just like we don't treat each other well, just even as humans,
right?
Just as peers.
Yeah, and on like I feel like I keep bringing up stories like this, and there's a possibility that 99% of our listeners don't care, and they think that I'm being soft and that that it's not racist. We should support our cops, and there are a lot of good cops out there. So I'm not trying to say like law enforcement, 100% of them are bad or anything. I'm just saying that if you don't think there are any racial biases going on in this world, then you are just turning a blind eye. And even if this story makes you uncomfortable or you feel like, oh, that's not racism. She just felt threatened. He shouldn't have been talking to her or messing with the dog or anything like that. That's your prerogative. You can talk about it on your podcast and let me and Carson debate on here. But I just want to say that, these are stories that are important to me because, again, I have a lot of friends that are hurt whenever they read these stories. And so I'm going to keep bringing them up. You can always fast forward through them, but they're important.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's maybe the most important impact of all of this is like seeing my black friends on social media react, and like you can tell they're genuinely hurt, and like where can I call home? Where am I to be treated equally?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I get a fair shake in this whole process, especially our black male friends?
Yeah.
And you think about it from their perspective, like you see like somebody that looks like you literally like taking their last breaths. Like that's a graphic photo.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heart-wrenching.
And I mean, again, if you're a black male and a white lady is calling the cops on you saying an African-American man is threatening my life, whether you're racist or not, you know what's going on in our world, and you know, or you should know, the repercussions that could bring. So that's really all that I have on that. Again, I'm not the racist police, but I feel like these are important stories that I would feel, because we do talk about news and stuff on here, and I would feel weird not saying that and not supporting my friends. So,
well, just it's not just about our friends. It's like just what's right, and like I don't want.
Well, I just mean I want to use this platform. Like, I'd be talking about this on Twitter, and I have and everything, but I always want to use my platform for my friends to know that I'm supporting them. Obviously, it's bigger than them, and even
no, for sure.
Yeah, even if you don't have a black male or female that you hang out with or talk to on a regular basis, you should care about these stories. And if you don't, again, like I talked about last time, you're just being complacent.
Well, that's the hard part for some folks, is that I don't think that they have that exposure, and it's something that even I'll call myself out. Like, I don't think that I've always been I don't think that my outcomes in terms of a diverse, intimate friend group have been I don't think that my outcomes have been as exposed as they should have been.
Yeah.
Historically.
That's fair. But I have it's weird because I don't want to be up here and be like, I have black friends, and that makes me the authority on it either. Like, I just want I want to be able to talk about this, just like you said, to the people who maybe didn't have the opportunity to get to know,
well, we don't have to beat around the bush. Like, I don't know what this is, and I don't even know if it's wrong to call it out or draw the distinction, but B-Rad has always been, one of the white guys that is just loved and embraced by the black community. Like, you were the only white person in gospel choir in college,
Yeah.
Like, you've talked about, your black girlfriends that called you booty or whatever they called you. And
shout out Zipporah, shout out Brittany.
I remember the outreach that Brad would get on campus, and just how it was like the United Nations. Like, we're just following this man at all times. And honestly, to be a blonde hair, blue-eyed white boy, and to have that type of gravitas and just kinship with so many different types of people, I've always admired and thought it was a huge strength of yours. And at this point, it's like, I mean, you're almost like Neil Brennan or somebody. Like, you're like a messenger.
Just looking for well, you're not my Dave Chappelle. I'm still looking for him.
Dang. Dang. Okay. Well,
no, I mean, I appreciate that, but also I don't, like, I'm not looking for any praise or any like kudos to me. It's just something that needs more attention drawn to it, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like some people in my circle may not consider that, or they could just think I'm downright crazy. But I'm still going to talk to him about it.
I don't think you've said anything terribly incendiary on here. Unarmed black person is killed by the police. You're like, hey, that shouldn't happen. That's racist. I don't support that. Like, there's nothing too crazy in that. It's kind of straightforward.
I think we can openly say that there are probably people in our lives that have racist tendencies, right?
I mean, dude, I'm white from Texas.
Yeah.
I come from that.
And so that is
not
why,
even that they were mean-spirited. I've seen it firsthand
yeah,
with elder generations where you talk in a certain way, you say different things, and you just view the world in a certain way because that's how your palate was formed.
right.
And if you were able to say a word for the first 50 years of your life in good company, in good standing, like, if I was born in 1800, the sick reality is that I would be the median character of the person in 1830
right,
or 1800. That's the scariest part.
Yeah.
If you were born a white slave owner in the 1800s, do you think that you would have been a white slave owner?
Yeah.
That's the part that sucks. It's like I don't even know. You're a product of nature and nurture, and then free will once it kicks in and you're well informed enough to know what to do with it, I
Right.
guess.
And so we're well informed enough to be able to denounce that outright. And so, yeah,
I just view it as luxurious because it's like we have access to all of these tools and this data now. And it's like, I mean, this should have never been happening over the millennia of the world's existence. So the fact that it's like, we're going to take this stance here, it's almost like laughable. It's like,
Right.
Why is this happening in the first place? This is so imperfect.
Yeah.
This is so outrageous. I just struggle with the fact that, as a white person, I'm going to be, I shouldn't say this, but I really want to be real about this. Yeah. Every generation is a little less racist.
Oh, no, yeah, no, you're like 100%
our
correct.
great grandfathers had slaves and, had tobacco farms and different things like this, and were terrible people in certain ways. Yeah. In many ways, that's the crazy. You can't even. Was there a redeemable quality about any slave owner ever? You'd have to say yes, objectively.
Yeah.
That's a if this part gets excerpted and CNN ran it, I'd be, canned forever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not the way that I mean it. I mean that I saw loving great grandparents say things that they shouldn't have said, mainly out of ignorance. And, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. And then you see like more of a parental generation, or maybe their older peers, that would still flirt with like dog whistle language almost, acronyms or something, know?
Yeah.
I'm being really real about this. And then you get to the 2000s and it's like a bunch of little white boys that were raised on 50 Cent. We're like, we just say it in songs, know? Yeah. And it's like, it's a weird thing. But honestly, I see the Enlightenment progressively occur more. And you have to think that racism, as we've known it, will die out eventually. Like, we're within a generation or two of even the remnants of, like,
man, you would hope.
Every generation that we put between us and slavery, us and Jim Crow, us and like any time that there was a distinction or they were lesser than or anything like that, things get more equal, and it's not right. It likely won't be right for a very long time. And anything that we can do as dumb white guys to like help,
yes,
we want to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not take a stance here. I'm trying to tell you about my experience and what I've seen from other similar looking people from this area of the country.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this may sound dumb, but it's like our black friends want to enlighten us. They want that video to be surfaced to say, this is what our plight is. This is what we're dealing with all the time.
Right.
And conversely, I want it to be a two-way conversation where I'm like, I've seen racism like close to home, and it didn't feel like the way that it was taken. It's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing, and it's a yeah. It's like I just want to assure them that I see it die more with each generation, and it has been too prevalent. And I think that we kid ourselves when we talk about how it hasn't been a factor for a very long time now, or we've been past that for a while. We haven't. You go back to movies from the 90s or even the 2000s where like go back to Sandler movies where Rob Schneider's playing Asian men and like all sorts of
dude. So another topic that I had on this, I don't know if you saw Jimmy Fallon catch a little bit of heat this week.
No.
He got in trouble for an SNL skit that he did that he did 20 years ago. He was in blackface, pretending or impersonating Chris Rock, and so a lot of people were, saying to cancel him. And obviously, this is a whole different facet, and you could have even different opinions on this, depending on your thoughts. But
so let me get this straight: Jimmy Fallon was portraying Chris Rock in an SNL skit and did what?
In blackface, yeah.
In blackface.
Right. And so the video resurfaced, and now people are calling to cancel him.
Are they also canceling Lorne Michaels and all the SNL brand and cast and crew because that was done under their umbrella? Yeah. And if it's done on SNL, typically it's meant tongue-in-cheek and as a total exploitation or reflection of modern-day culture and its most extreme tendencies.
Yeah.
And how ridiculous everything is.
Right.
Okay.
No,
bro, this is like a sliding scale of racist stories where it's
that's
like,
what I'm
okay,
saying.
Yeah, the first one, it feels cheapened now that we're to this because get over it. Like, what are we talking about? First of all, is Trudeau racist for going in semi-blackface to an Arabian Nights party like in the 70s? Was that really racist? Like, I don't know. If we have a black listener right now that is truly incensed by somebody's 30 or 40-year-old photo of them in blackface at a Halloween party surfaces, are you really upset about that? And if so, why? And I want to hear about it because likely you have a perspective that I don't. I view that as the least racist thing that we've discussed on this podcast thus far.
Sure.
The park example was much more extreme. The killing incident was much more extreme.
Yeah, I would agree.
Terrible outcome. This situation, do you think Jimmy Fallon is a racist for real?
No.
Okay, I don't either.
But I just bring that topic to the table because I want to show how I guess just the range, because again, we're not the authority on, like, I cannot tell a black person how to feel about a certain situation.
For sure. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm just bringing up even something that seems like simple, a harmless joke. And I'm just bringing it up. I'm not saying like we need to decide whether or not it was inappropriate or not.
I could go with if somebody that is African American is offended by that, I'll go with that 100%. I guess that I'm reflecting more on did they just reach into the grab bag of old tweets and footage to like catch someone in a gotcha? Because, I mean, it used to be that you could dress up like different people, for movies or skits or Halloween or whatever. Like, I'm not going to lie. You can go ahead and cancel me, but I'm pretty positive that one year for Halloween, I was a Native American in the early 90s. Yeah. So, what was that? I was 4, like, I don't know. I didn't go in red face, I think I had some paint on my cheek and a little headdress on. I was little moccasins.
Yeah.
Was that adorable or was that the most racist thing I've ever done?
I don't know, man.
It's the same thing.
Don't
right?
run for office.
Buddy, I would love to run for office someday. I just want to see
that's the point that I'm trying to make. And perhaps the point is that some people are trying to trivialize things that don't really matter whenever people are getting killed out here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, we should be focusing not on Jimmy Fallon. We should be focusing on other things. Again, I'm not the person who's going to make that decision. I'm just, that's just something for us and for the listener to think about.
Yeah. We're not going to solve it all tonight, are we?
Probably not, man. Maybe by episode 35.
Man, so this is episode 34.
Isn't it?
I was thinking like, oh wow, 15 weeks left in the first year of the show. And then a really morbid thought hit me on my way home from work. I was like, dude, this show has a max number.
Does it?
Yeah, because in 15 weeks, the average lifespan would have been 79 runs of this show. Okay. So we've already been through 30 runs of this show when you think about it.
I'm confused on why.
I'm saying that we can only get to episode 600 or 800.
Oh, because we're going to die someday?
Because we're going to die.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah.
We're on episode 34 and 8-9 months of our lives have lapsed.
That's okay. I've been praying for you. We're going to have episodes in heaven, buddy. I got you.
Okay. They're like, download it from the cloud. The one you're sitting on.
Stupid. That was bad.
You're welcome.
That was bad. Okay. Azalea Banks says she had sex with Dave Chappelle.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I would just like to state that back in the early 2000s, he turned down having another season of the Dave Chappelle Show, or the Chappelle Show. He turned down $100 million. I think that he could turn down Azalea Banks, and that's all. There's only going to be 1% of listeners who would appreciate that joke. And
hey, real talk, is she the girl that's like, hey, I was in the 212. I'm the Uptown girl.
Yeah, that sounds like her.
You know what's up or don't you?
She's the crazy one that just is always saying outlandish.
She's kind of hot. When did they have sex?
She's crazy though. If you do the crazy hot scale, she surpassed. She's more crazy than hot.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
We like girls in different quadrants of that graph, buddy.
Okay, fair. Fair is fair.
Let's be honest.
Fair is fair.
So was this? He has a wife.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, he had a sex tape or something that almost squashed things that got mailed to him. Remember that story?
Wasn't that Kevin Hart?
A bit. I think it was both of them, probably. I
know for sure that happened to Kevin Hart.
I think Dave talked about it in an early special. When does she claim that they did it?
Somewhat recently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I can't wait to see how he... I'm just looking forward to the jokes.
Nothing happens and life continues on.
Just looking forward to the jokes is all.
Yeah. Well, you think he gets to step out from time to time, or what's the deal?
I don't know.
Isn't that the deal that we make? It's like, babe.
When you say we,
as men, it's like when we take our vows, it's like, unless I become number one at something, and then
no, Carson.
Oh, okay.
No,
did I not get that right? I thought that's how that went.
You write your vows, and you form any type of plan that you want. Make sure she's cool with it before wedding day, please. But that's not I wouldn't say that's the general consensus.
Yeah, I guess just I'm talking about as a casual media observer. It's like, the most famous, wealthiest man on this vertical, when Michael Jordan gets divorced.
Are people surprised?
No. When Tiger Woods gets caught with some mistresses when he's winning 82 PGA Tour championships, are you really surprised? Probably not. I personally think that you can't be number one without a weird kink, a little bit. I think that you're driven in many ways, so to speak. Dave... I don't know, man. I mean, I'd like to think that if he did step out or do something that she kind of knew, maybe it was more of a, couples change, dude. Couples have good marriages, and sometimes they'll let each other do something. Or
so, are you continuing this under the impression that this story is true? So, do you believe her when she says that?
Oh, is it not confirmed?
No.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I've literally not heard a thing about this. All I'm saying is that I don't picture Dave as really the type to run games on his wife.
Yeah.
I picture him as more the type to be like, to call her before, or like, hey babe, or for her to be involved. Like, I'm not trying to be crass.
I know.
I'm just saying
that probably
like,
is the type of person he is. Yeah.
I would picture him more being like, hey babe, we got a live one. Let's go back to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being like, I'm sneaking around behind her back. He lives on a farm in Ohio.
Yeah.
Like, he's purposely out of the bubble. He's one of the most authentic people alive right now. He just got the Mark Twain Award from this, what is it, the Smithsonian, or I can't remember. The Kennedy Center.
There it is.
So is she known for fabricating stories, or?
Yeah, I mean, she just always says outlandish stuff to get her name in the headlines. So
where was this reported?
I don't know.
Will you read me more of the story?
I get all my stuff on Twitter, man.
You just read headlines, though. You don't click in.
Well, what do you want me to do, bro?
I want you to click in and read it. I want you to do research, Mr. Grad Student.
Oh, I guess she had posted it under an Instagram post. Shout out Instagram. Her captions are a lot more intriguing than mine.
You'll get there, Logan.
I hate that. I hate that you're calling me him, because I hate him.
Ooh, getting under your skin?
No, just don't.
No,
just don't like it.
No.
Oh,
not bothered.
Let's see.
So she said it in an Instagram comment? Sounds real reputable.
I guess. She calls out Nicki Minaj and Doja Cat. Yeah, I mean, we can sit here for me trying to find it, but you can continue talking if you want.
Okay. I take it CNN and the New York Times haven't picked this up yet.
Nah, bro, I'm on the source.
CNN is just so ecstatic. They got a police killing of an unarmed black man and the 100,000th COVID death in the same week. They literally, on Saturday, they're just counting down. They're like, as we near 100,000 American deaths. And then it took forever for it to get over 98 and then 99. And then finally they got 100 today. And they're like, finally, like, it was like breaking news, 100,000. And it's like, dude, you've been saying this for the last week.
Yeah. So she's over here dragging a bunch of different female artists. And then this is, on social media. And then she says, I've actually hooked up with a lot of powerful men. And then she says, I should ruin your marriage. I should tell the world that we hooked up. And I'm paraphrasing here. And then she says, what am I keeping secrets for y'all for? No, Dave Chappelle can hook up with me again. He was good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's the type of comment that makes a man blood curdle. Just go ice cold. I should ruin your marriage. Woo! Scurry. Woo! Stay away.
Stay away. That's your type.
Stop it. I'm like, but I wanted to ruin yours.
You're the worst.
I'm playing.
I apologize, listeners.
That's a joke. I think Azalea Banks is definitely attractive in a weird way. But
it's the crazy. That's why.
Shut up. I like her music. I do. Stacy,
come on.
Stacy Tittlemore will bail me out here. We used to watch 212 all the time. That video is epic. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh my goodness. We are going to stop this podcast. We're going to go watch this because it is the most legendary video ever.
I'll watch it after.
Oh, it's so good. And she's got such spunk and sass. Good for Dave.
I don't believe that it happened. I think she is certified crazy.
I mean, he probably saw it and laughed, and he's like, "Oh, babe, look."
He's like, "More material."
Azalea's like calling me out, Yeah. That's scary though.
For those that don't know, Azalea Banks is a female rapper, and Dave Chappelle is a comedian. I know that we have listeners who don't know who they are.
For the pasty ones out there.
No, just for the parents.
Well, people know who Dave is. Azalea Banks, no.
Yeah.
I mean, what has she done here recently? Anything?
These type of
who I kind of like? He's kind of a little thug. Is what's her face? Cash Doll.
Cash Doll's cool.
I like Cash Doll.
Yeah.
Like she's got some good bars.
Yeah.
Some good beats.
Yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
All right, mayonnaise.
All right, Logan. I think I win that one.
What do you got?
Oh, let me check.
Let
me see. Attacked by bird? Check. Pool party Saturday? Check. Oh, so we had a team meeting this week, and literally just one by one we're asked, like, so what's your plan? You thinking about going back to the office, or you liking remote work? You want to stay here, move away? Like, the sky's the limit. And I was kind of the only holdout for the office on a more consistent basis. So I think the world is changing. You know, a colleague's wife works for AT&T corporate, and they've been told that, you know, they don't have to come back the remainder of the calendar year. You know, many companies have said work remote permanently, or, you know, as long as you stay within a general time zone, you're fine.
That'll save money on like office spaces and
commute, wear and tear. Yeah. I mean, I got into a wreck going home from work one day, and I thought, man, if I was working remote, I would have not had this exposure, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then I also think that when you get too efficient and streamlined with your life, where you're like, if I cut out the commute, and then, hey, if I just sleep at the desk in my home and nobody ever comes over, I'll be super.
You got Uber Eats and Amazon.
It drives all the joy out of things, and like,
there's something exposure. There's something to be said about working with people, and clearly you care about that because you were the one holding out for the office. But it seems like that's not on a lot of people's priority at the top of their list.
It's hard because I did pretty well with this remote work phase over COVID. And you can set up your home office to where it never, you know, moves around and stuff. And like when you pack up and take half of the computers to the office, and you still want to use your wireless magic mouse and all this different stuff, sometimes it's like, for the first time today, I had the most freak out moment. I've had this moment many days that I get to work, and it always ends up fine, where I'm looking for my AirPods in my computer bag, and I could not find them today. And I was like, I went to work without my AirPods. Oof. And that is a ruined day. Like, I cannot function.
It's like showing up to a workout without the headphones, you know?
It's just, it just doesn't work for me. I can actually anticipate you cutting off your sentence or natural flow of conversation more readily with AirPods than if I'm just going straight connection, especially over computer.
Yeah, tough.
So that happened, and, you know, our CEO told us about his plans to take a Mercedes sleeper van cross country and go visit various board members and relatives, and he's got it all equipped for Wi-Fi and calls, and pull over and take a call or whatever needs to happen. But it's like the new reality of work, where I'm like, what? You know, up until this point, I couldn't wait to, you know, my office is 4 minutes from my apartment, and I'm going to go to the office every day, and I'm going to see these people, and life is never going to change. And I always am so rigid and just like, for being so futuristic, I'm also rutted in many ways. And so whenever I got all this information, I saw the direction that, you know, my parents' clients were going in, the tech world was going in, and has been going in, honestly. And just the stability of like being able to work from home, even if you had that 7:30 a.m. call and that 5:30 call, like you can get other stuff done throughout your day and incorporate more aspects of your life in a easier way. So, you know, I enjoy the optional office, but it just got me to thinking, like, man, why am I not in Mexico right now? Like, sequestered on a beach, quarantined, like, you know, working in the same time zone, but from a white sand beach somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, why do I view it this way? Why do I view anything traditionally?
Yeah. I mean, you can have contact with people out there on the beach, you know?
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, as long as my business is going to be conducted primarily both internally and externally through Zoom, and then shared documents, spreadsheets, you know, Google Drive, HubSpot software, as long as I just need to be plugged into that, like, that's how you know you're at work. Like, are you available online? Are you readily responsive on Slack? That's when people are like, oh, he's in the office. But the office is virtual now for all practical intents purposes. And
welcome to the future.
When you're so specialized, where I'm in a startup where if one of us goes down, we're all mission critical, to a particular thing, and we all need to be firing at all cylinders to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And
I think this will work out as long as everybody's holding themselves accountable and getting their work done.
No, for sure.
Because as soon as people start screwing up, it's like, all right, everyone, pack it up. You're going back to your cubicle.
Yeah. I can't place why I was telling you that piece of it. Forget it.
Okay. Sorry.
We're all. Anyway, as long as you're plugged in online, you don't need to be rigid about physical proximity to other people, because a lot of time, because we're so specialized, most of the time that you're doing your actual work, you're alone anyway.
Yeah.
You're with a client, you're, with another member of the product team, or, what a vendor, investor, we're all doing our segmented things. Then we come back together for these meetings and different things like that, different check-ins and stand-ups. But, it's just the majority of the time that you're in person, even I wasn't with them, they were in the office upstairs and I was in a pod downstairs.
Yeah.
But just being able to have that couple time a week meeting that, hey, you want to go grab lunch, whatever is going on. You see each other going back and forth from coffee. It just adds something. So I think that there's a lot of perks to the new norm. I think that we're going to have a pendulum swing as well, in a weird social way, where we're going to need other ways to connect.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So,
yeah. You'll be happy to hear that I've chosen my book list for this upcoming school year, and I have placed Outliers in one of the books that I'm going to be reading with my students.
Nice.
And then I'm also going to be doing The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, which I've talked about on this podcast several episodes ago. But still going to be doing literature and stuff, but I'm going to try to pack in some of these self-help, self-improvement, thought-provoking books as well. So I'm excited about that. Excited to see the discussion that's going to be coming off of it. I know Brock had talked about his latest one, Talking with Strangers, and I finally picked up that book and I've been reading it. Hopefully I'll be done with it by next week. So.
Will you bring it to me next week?
Yep.
I would love to read that. I've got multiple books on the way to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of went crazy on Amazon the other night, and I got Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
Okay.
Anxious to dive into that one. I think I'd bought that for my mom in the past, but got my own copy. And then I was kind of nervous to read this, but I've often felt a little paralyzed in life because I don't know what to think about the afterlife or what the real purpose of this life is. And it's hard to orient your real goals in life when you don't necessarily always have a really firm conviction in that area. So, I decided to dig into a book that is going to present some different viewpoints. And so have you heard of Sam Harris?
That sounds familiar. What book?
I bought Waking Up, A Guide to Spirituality Without Religion by Sam Harris, who is actually, he's a renowned atheist, technically.
Okay.
But he has a lot of different theories on free will and our evolution and just us as a species. He's been on Rogan a lot. He has his own podcast called Waking Up, where he sheds light on a lot of interesting topics. And he also is the creator and operator of the meditation app.
What'd you say his name is?
Sam Harris.
Oh, okay. That's not who I was thinking of, but that's cool.
Yeah. So Jordan Peterson is of the ilk. I like Jordan's little spiel a little bit more in terms of his take on religion, which is act like Jesus is real, even if you don't necessarily buy it.
Yeah.
You'll have a better reward either way.
Yeah.
Which I buy.
There's a theory called Pascal's theory, and that's or Pascal's wager, and it's like, I think maybe I've talked about it before, but
no, keep going. I've heard of this.
So it's basically like if you wager that God doesn't exist and he is, well, then you get eternal damnation. And then if you wager that God is real and you choose to go that route, well, it's like, then you go to heaven. And if you believe that he's real and he's not, well, then no harm done, you still lived a good life. But the people against that theory and that wager is like, well, if you're not genuinely believing in God, then and you're doing it just for the reward, then you're not going to get the reward. That would be people's argument to that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the people that works for don't necessarily know if they can genuinely do anything. Like there's a certain level of self-distrust associated with that. But it's a vantage point that I want to get. I've often wondered, is meditation the same thing as prayer in terms of its physical ramifications or benefits, impacts on the body and your system? I don't know. I have been doing a lot of meditation. I was told to up my dosage the other day. I'm really bad at being present. And that's something that, like MJ in The Last Dance, he was so present. Like I want to be like that. And I think that there's a lot of success that is inherent with being present because you're the present person. Like you can close that deal because you're in the moment, you're listening. And meditation is all about being in the moment and being calm and thinking about your responses and the stimuli that you're just always inadvertently being attacked by, that's being introduced into your consciousness, which is really all that you have. Is your consciousness and your response to different things. So I wanted to read that. I might even read some of the Bible, a little bit of that, like just get some, I want to dig in a little bit more on some of these things that it's like I have to do a little bit of short-term value and then a little bit of long-term value. So it's like I'll read a sales book. This will impact my career right now. And then, what do we think about the rest of life? Like, what are we gunning for?
Yeah, I like that.
So
get a little versatile with it.
More to come. I like Outliers being added to the schedule. I'm super excited to dig into Talking to Strangers because I read it in a coffee shop in Austin, the first chapter, waiting for a table once, and it was fascinating. Yeah. But I need to read more of it.
Yeah, I'll bring it to you next week.
I wish books were even cheaper. Like, all the books that I buy are like $14.
15, yeah, exactly.
But it's still like, why couldn't this be $5? Why is everything else so commercialized, but this isn't?
Right.
And I just don't. I tried Audible, and I can't get behind it. My retention.
What about just like ebooks, like on a Kindle? Because those can be cheaper.
That's true. I read when I'm traveling, the whole iPhone book is the way to go. Like I read an entire book or two. I think I read 2 books on my Europe travels last year, and that was entirely via my phone, which wasn't a bad experience. But I'm just one of those people that I need a tangible book.
Right.
I really feel best. I like to. I have a bookmark. It's Michael Denny's current Riveron business card. Shout out to him and his business card stories that he always likes to rib me for. He'll be happy to know that every line of the book is trailed with his moniker.
There you go.
So I'm something about that physical ingestion is better for my comprehension.
I prefer the physical books as well.
So, anywho, you about ready to get out of here?
Yeah, man.
You got any shout outs?
I'm going to shout out Courtney Reichert. That would be Brock's wife. He had tweeted out that she had listened to our episode last week and that she fell asleep during Joe Rogan, but didn't fall asleep during ours.
What's wrong with this picture?
I'm just saying, Joe Rogan got $100 million deal for the next
he got way
year.
More than that.
Well, no, I'm saying $100 million a year for 5 years. This is coming from Joe Budden, who is also signed to Spotify and has...
Send me this segment. We've got so much to watch. We're going to watch Azalea Banks. We're going to watch Joe Budden.
Oh, yeah. I
knew it was hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
It had to have been because they gave Howard $500 million and they didn't get like his entire library, did they? From all the years, like they're getting Rogan's whole library to license.
Yeah.
Plus video.
So they're saying like it's at least 500 million for the next 5 years.
No, but shout out to Brock and Courtney because he was saying they were traveling somewhere and she was nodding off. He was like, we were listening to podcasts, and she kept sleeping through JRE, but could stay awake through the weekly catch-up. So you got a new fan, and I was
Let's
like,
go. Hope we didn't scare you away with this one, but
like, that's crazy.
yeah, I just think that was really sweet, and obviously I'm just a huge fan of those two. So,
but if you like the weekly catch-up more than JRE, get your priorities together.
No,
I'm playing. We're the best.
You were underestimating us.
We're the best. Shout out to.
Let me say this about Joe Rogan.
Okay.
He is no doubt a great interviewer, but I think a huge pull that he has is all the guests. Like, I feel like people a lot of times tune in for the guests that he brings.
We tune in for the experience, the Joe Rogan experience.
Sure.
We tune in for the whole
what
thing,
does that
for young Jamie, for the guest. I like Neil deGrasse Tyson,
I'm just saying,
followed by Dog the Bounty Hunter.
But I'm telling you, people tune in to this podcast for me and you, buddy. Just us.
It's all about us.
Yeah, there's no strings attached. There's
us and our platform. Whoop. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for doing that. Super appreciate it.
Yeah.
Such an ego trip, bro.
I'm just saying.
We're gonna have like 30 friends listening to this.
Yeah, this
episode listening to Logan Paul and Carson.
Yeah, this episode is brought to you by To Kill a Mockingbird.
Hey, man, I should not have told that story, but that thing scared me half to death. Anyway, shout out to Stacy Chittimore.
Yeah.
It was her birthday yesterday.
Oh, let's go.
Be more BFF. And
birthday,
shout
Stacey.
out to Claudia Gonzalez. It was also her birthday yesterday.
All right, shout out.
It
Happy
is
birthday.
Megan Grizz's birthday next week. And shout out to
happy early birthday, Grizz. We'll shout you out again next week.
Shout out and rest in peace to our grandfathers and generations that served in the military and gave us the opportunity to celebrate Memorial Day this week. We appreciate your sacrifice.
Absolutely.
The country that you helped build in no small part.
Yeah.
So, and shout out to all the tots. Thanks for holding us down. Thanks to K-Bebe for, I'm pretty sure, a third week of sponsorship. I owe B-Rad some cash moolah, baby.
Yeah, you're about to take me to dinner, son.
And shout out to Michael Cohen. Enjoy your new freedom. Definitely don't reapply for your old job because that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And best of luck, sir.
All right. I think with that, we will catch you up next week.
Bye-bye.